At a neighborhood Christmas party, I found myself sitting next to 10-year-old Vanessa Velasquez. And trying to pass conversation and pass the time, I asked her, "Vanessa, what do you want to be when you grow up?" To which she responded, "Nothing. I'm stupid." As I got working with Vanessa Velasquez as a volunteer in the Jordan School District Resource Center, I came to find that Vanessa, even though she was failing all her classes and had no friends and had no self-confidence and had just given up as a 10-year-old when most 10-year-olds are looking to be doctors or astronauts or teachers, I found that Vanessa was actually pretty bright. She was good at math, she was good at problem solving, she was a great communicator, but Vanessa Velasquez never learned how to read or how to write in English. Because of a lack of funding and resource centers here in the state of Utah into our education programs, Vanessa Velasquez was struggling in school. Today I'm going to talk to you about what we can do in encouraging legislation and encouraging an increase in funding for public school centers, such as resource centers that help non-English students, as well as resource centers that help special needs. These centers have numerous benefits. Whether your child is suffering in school or whether they're the top of their class, increasing funding for the state of Utah in education needs to be a priority. We are undercutting our students and need to provide them opportunities to go to college and to be able to do well on their tests and be able to gain that self-confidence to enter the real world. I'm also going to talk to you today about what are the negative consequences of not funding. What are the effects of students like Vanessa who never learn how to read or how to write in English? What are the effects of students who never do well in their educational system and drop out of high school? In 2012, 2013, and 2014, the Utah Census Bureau listed Utah as in last place for funding that goes towards education per student. While Utah is at the lowest point in the nation at about $4,000 to $5,000 per student, there are states like New York and Vermont that are reaching the top numbers of $15,000 to $16,000 per student. Now, the Utah Census Bureau also does an interesting thing. They compare how much money is being spent per student, and that includes every student, whether they're doing well or not, and their test scores. And it's no surprise that the states that pay the most amount of money for their students are the states that do the highest on test scores. Now, it's also no surprise that the states that pay the most amount of money per student are also the states that get the most percentage of college admittance rates. And if you go down the list, you see that states that don't fund their students do poorer on tests and do poorer on college admittance rates. Now, there's one exception to this rule: Utah. Utah pays the least amount of money per student, has students at the bottom of their priority list, and yet we're doing all right. We're about number 30 in the country for test scores and college admittance rates. And so politicians today say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. In an article by Richard Davis in the Deseret News in May 2015, it was found that politicians are saying, we're doing all right, so there's no change that we need to make. But our children's education shouldn't be like this. We need to make sure that we increase funding for these resource programs because we want to achieve a potential, not a if it's not broke, don't fix it status. Now, there are negative consequences to students that never are able to graduate high school and are never able to obtain essential needs like learning how to read and how to write, and therefore drop out of high school. As was shown by the Journal of College of Reading and Learning in a publication in 2013, it's found that students that do not graduate high school usually come from students that never did well in elementary school, that never did well in middle school, that never learned how to read and how to write. This same article also stated that these students are then more likely to turn to crime, to turn to low-paying jobs, because they're not able to graduate from high school and have to look to other means to be able to raise money. Now, this isn't saying that that's all students, but why not give our students an advantage? Why not allow them the funding and the resource programs that are going to allow them to do well? And for students who are already at the top of their class, why not allow them to reach their full potential? As I started teaching Vanessa Velasquez how to read and how to write in English, I saw a change in her. She started becoming more confident in who she was as a young woman. She wasn't afraid to talk to people. Her mother told me that in the morning she would shower and start getting ready for school because she took pride in what she looked like and who she was talking to. And Vanessa soon became the top of her class, receiving awards all throughout elementary school and middle school for being the most improved and best student. These are the benefits that come from students who just benefit from a little bit of funding. Why not allocate funds from construction and from infrastructure and put them towards our child's potential? Why don't we put them towards our child's future? Thank you.